makes it so all-encompassing. I knew that whatever I came up with would be fine. Right? So, let's see. From Rumi, when you go to a garden, do you look at the weeds? Spend more time with the roses and the jasmines. And from Ernest Holmes in The Power of Belief. To wake in the morning with a conscious expectancy that things are going to be good today rather than evil. To have a great inward gratitude for this and a feeling for life. And upon retiring, to thank God for the good that we have. This attitude will heal most of our weariness. But we do not quite believe that we are divine beings on the pathway of an eternal expansion. And too often, we permit a sort of cold, wet cloud of unbelief to be draped around what enthusiasm we have. We must learn to recapture that childlike enthusiasm we used to have and to develop it. There is something so spontaneous and natural and outgoing about it that it infuses an exhilarating power which lifts everything it touches into a greater joy.
Yay.
And a very short affirmation. I'll say it and then we can say it together, I think. It's easy. I am willing to live with joy and enthusiasm.
I am willing to live with joy and enthusiasm.
And so
it is.
So it is. Carol, good morning. I'm Joseph Salick. And this morning I'm going to play a song of mine called All Life is Flowing. And I'm very grateful for the support of Kevin Sawyer. Everything comes, everything goes. All life is flowing. This truth the heart knows. The mind does its thinking and making its plan. A wonderful story written in sand. What about love? This love we all feel. This love that is pulsing, that we all know is real. This love in our heart, this love from the source. As our minds settle, this love can grow. Letting go of our clinging that comes from our fear. All life is flowing, sometimes that's clear. The truth isn't hiding, it rests in our heart. All life is flowing, in this we take part. Yes, there is love, love that we feel, love that is pulsing, love that is real. This love in our heart, this love from the source. As our minds settle, this love can grow. As our minds settle, this love can grow. As our minds settle, this love will grow.
I kind of like the way Lisa did this last week. What'd you over there? That's better. Good morning, every day.
Good morning.
What a beautiful day it is.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm so grateful for it being cooler than predicted. Every degree
Yes.
is cause for gratitude,
That's right.
right?
Yes.
I didn't get into my gratitudes this morning, but I do have some big ones. My car decided to behave or misbehave, you know. And mind you, I have a car that is perfect all the time. And so when something goes awry, like the entire panel on my dashboard lighting up, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like, you know, maybe that requires some attention. So the angel Gabriel, whose name is actually correctly pronounced, I found out just in the last few months, Gabrielle, because Gabrielle is a she. Not according to my early faith tradition training, of course, but anyway, Gabrielle is a she. So she got to work on all of this, and I took my car right in to at least have it diagnosed to make sure that it was safe to drive. Because at the time, I couldn't leave it there. I had to make arrangements and rearrangements and, you know, all that kind of thing. And this service fellow comes out to the car and he introduces himself and he says, "Hi, my name is Gabrielle." And I'm thinking to myself, okie dokie then. So my car didn't stay there then because it was safe to drive, but I wanted to get it in there as soon as possible, which I did, and then it ended up being there for 4 days, which I don't need to tell you why, and it's all better now. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful it's better. I'm grateful I had the resources to pay for it. I'm grateful I had Gabrielle overseeing her service, because my car says she too. Her name is Tara. Anyway, and as Denise already mentioned, and for this, I would like to take a moment to do something that we occasionally do here, called the sacred honoring. I would like to take a few moments to do a sacred honoring for our friend Michael Crockett, who had this huge, it can only be called, and seriously life-threatening event on Monday, and totally unexpected, and he's the healthiest guy on the planet with absolutely no history of anything that would be anything. And yet there he was, having this 8-hour surgery, and the moment we knew, we did a prayer, And then we got the practitioners on it, and the practitioners always respond like that.
Yep.
Instantaneously. Oh, I actually did a snap all by myself. So, in this sacred honoring for Crockett, his wife Lynn, and their family, and their closest friends, what we knew was that he had everything he needed. He was in the perfect place, which was Lovelace in Albuquerque, which is a heart hospital. And he had everything he needed. He had the perfect doctor, the perfect nurses, the perfect energy around him, that everything could go the best that it could. And 9 hours later, his wife and her close friend who was there with her got the news that not only had he survived the surgery, and the doctor was like shaking his head the whole time he was talking. Not only had he survived the surgery, which the doctor had told Crockett and his family in advance that he probably would not, because it was very dangerous. He survived the surgery. He didn't need 2 parts of the surgery that they predicted that he would need, and a full recovery is expected. And that was Monday. And today, he is going home. So in gratitude for all of the prayer work that was done by our incredible practitioner team, Reverend Diana Lee, who is in California and online with us this morning, Patty, Carol, Ren, Jean, all of us. What I know, but not only do I know, when Lynn called us and asked us for prayer, her words were, I know that you and your team can move this energy in a way that serves him. And that faith, it isn't what we did. It's her belief. It isn't what the doctors did. It's her belief. And so as we sit in gratitude together, celebrating this great outcome for all of them together, what is so important to know as I ask the question, are you willing? Is, are you willing to believe that unquestioningly in what is possible? Even though you don't know what's possible. Are you willing to believe that there really is something wonderful happening right now? Are you willing to believe that that something is the one life, the one power, the one presence that is our life? Are you willing to believe that that life has nothing better to do than to do great things for itself. Now, why would I say it has nothing better to do than great things for itself? Because we are that. It has nothing better to do than to give and create and manifest and celebrate and show up with a new color of rose. And it has nothing better to do than all of these lovely things that we associate with generosity and loveliness. It has nothing better to do than to cart off the mice so that they would no longer be someplace that they didn't want to be. You know, mice don't want to be where there are traps. I have it on good authority. They don't want to be where their life is threatened. They just want to be where they can find a little water and a little food. They don't want to be where they're in danger. Are we willing? Are we willing to set aside our doubts? Everybody breathe. I know how attached to those suckers we can be. And I call them suckers because they're energy suckers. They're energy suckers, they're thought suckers, they're every kind of sucker you can think of. They get in our way. Are we willing to set, just right now, let's just imagine that we're just setting them aside in their own chair. Whatever doubts and fears and hesitations we might have, we're just giving them their own chair. There's plenty of chairs, and if we need more chairs, we'll get them from the back. You just let me know. So we're willing to set them aside so that we can just have a conversation with our willingness, with our courage, with our resilience, with our bravado, with our joy, with our exuberance, with our irrepressibility. But I can only have that conversation if all of that is set to the side. Now, we're not going to blow it up or anything, so don't get worried. You get to leave with it if you choose. You know which chair they're in, and you get to just scoop it up and take it with you. Or you can leave it here, where it can just dissipate on its own. It's up to you. You know, the thing is, it's always up to us. I read something this morning that said that every moment, now listen up here, every moment comes from the moment before, is seeded by the moment before. And the new moment, the next moment, is seeded by the moment we're in. I see Bram looking at me like this. And the key is choice.
Yes.
Because every moment has its own threshold, right? We aren't aware of it. We don't pay attention to every moment typically in that way, although it wouldn't hurt. But it has its own threshold. And so we step across that threshold from the moment we're in into the new moment, and right in that kind of rocking space where we're shifting weight, we're shifting gears, we're shifting our attention, there's this window or doorway. Better stick with threshold, doorway, that surrounds this transition where we can make a new choice.
Yes.
Now, it does take awareness. It does take having more interest in the moment that we're creating, in that new moment that we're creating, than in the stuff sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
Because if we're so caught up with our interest about the stuff that's sitting in the chair, you know what's going to happen? All that stuff is going with us into the new moment. It's just going right with us. Happy to make the move, too. Because it can have this, you know, when Shoshana was talking about the mousetraps and the sticky stuff on mousetraps, I think we have that somewhere. I'm not quite sure where, but we have it somewhere where it just comes right along. If we don't consciously leave it behind.
Right.
Now, what do I mean when I say leave it behind? Because this is a thing that people struggle with. And why in the world would they struggle with leaving behind things that don't nourish them and serve them and uplift them and inspire them and energize them? Well, I'll tell you why, in case you were wondering. Oh, by the way, I'm Reverend Ann Ray. You never know when it's coming. And I am thrilled to be with you this morning, you being my spiritual community that I am so overjoyed to serve with. So this is why. There can be, and I could actually write this out as a list of possibilities. So it isn't like all of this is going on for everybody, although that could be. So there could be confusion about dishonoring the people who influenced us growing up. You know, if we leave behind what they said was true, even though we have now learned that we get to decide what's true, and that our truth is our truth, catch that now. Each one of you. Not your truth is my truth. We have common beliefs. We have common interests. We have things that we are learning together. And every single one of us has our own individual, limitless wisdom. Now that may not have been what we were taught. In fact, we may have been taught the opposite. Or it may have been suggested to us that if we didn't believe XYZ, then we were going to be in trouble always. You know, that we were headed down the wrong road and we were going to stay on the wrong road indefinitely. But nobody gets to say that.
Right.
No offense to those who thought they were giving us their best, whatever that was. No offense to those who believed what they told us was true. Whether it was a parent or a grandparent or a priest or anyone. No offense. No offense intended, no offense needed, no resentments. They were giving us what they thought they were supposed to. And that we have learned to think for ourselves, and that thinking for ourselves is actually okay, and that it's really the only way to get from where we've been to where we want to be. That is no disrespect to anything that has gone before. We also don't need to carry resentment, anger, discouragement about all of that. Just because you woke up with it in the morning, since every moment you are what?
New.
Can we do that again? Every moment you are what?
New.
New. Really? New. At any moment, because every moment is that what?
Stepping over the threshold.
Stepping over the threshold. Thank you, Patty. Stepping over the threshold. Every moment we step over the threshold. And we get to decide as the person we are right now, not the person we were then, the person we are right now, we get to decide if we're willing.
Right. Yes.
If we're willing to be new. If we're willing to think new. If we're willing to drop the ideas that we are insufficient in any way. If we are willing to drop the belief in judgment and resentment and anger and all that other stuff about other people,
Right.
when we really don't know them well enough to have an opinion.
Right.
All we know about other people, unless they're close to us, is what we're told. I choose to have my own mind, and I am willing to have my own mind, and I am willing to let my own fabulous mind think its fabulous thoughts.
Amen.
I am willing to believe that there is a power for good in the universe that I can use every single second of my life, not because it is something outside of me, but because it is me.
Amen.
I can use it in my consciousness. I can use it in my awareness. I can look at a situation and I can decide what is my investment going to be in this situation. Going back to our friend Crockett. were we kind of in shock and undone by the news that this incredibly healthy, strong, vital man was on death's door? Of course we were. But did we stay there?
No.
We did not. Because that was taken care of. That was simply a fact. We were working beyond the evidence.
Yes.
Now I know that this is a big idea, and I don't have time to cover it, which is why I'm taking the whole month to do it. Working beyond the evidence is where we have to go in order for the creativity and the understanding, and I'm not talking about intellectualizing anything. I am talking about this force for good that lives inside of us, just waiting to be expressed, just waiting to be released, just waiting to be revealed. There are no limitations. There is no judgment. And when I say there is no judgment, that includes anything we have ever done that we think is so unforgivable. Because there is nothing that is unforgiven, because there's nothing to forgive. Now, I know that I have given you a layer cake of big ideas. So I want you to take this layer cake home, with or without the stuff in the jar, and just chew on it at your own pace. You know, we can only eat an elephant one bite at a time. This is kind of like that. The thing is, I don't know about eating elephants being life-changing. But the ideas that I am giving you are life-changing.
Yes.
So take it home, sleep on it, chew on it, see how it feels. Call me if you have questions, or call a practitioner, because it's worth it.
Yes.
Do you feel that you're worth it?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I try that one more time? Do you feel that you're worth it?
Yes.
Hallelujah. Because I know you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And I don't mean in this room. I mean in this life. You would not be here if there wasn't more to be, more to do, more to understand, more to enjoy, more gratitude to feel, more to celebrate. So are you willing?
Yes.
Me too.
All right.
So it is.